In this video, I'm going to share with you how to monetize a bond and as well as a lot of other banking instruments. You've got to watch this. I'm Taimour Zaman from LanaCred.ai. Our organization is a category leader in 3 categories. Number 1 is providing lines of credit, loans, like that. Number 2 is monetizing banking instruments. And the third area is that we assist individuals and companies in an area called private placement programs. Today I want to talk about monetizing bonds as well as other banking instruments. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and do that now so that you can get access to our customer walkthroughs, case studies, strategies, that the ones like that we're discussing today. So a client of ours called us today and he's having a really hard time monetizing his instrument, and he's like really scratching his head saying, how can you help me out? I've monetized instruments before with my existing institution. Now my institution doesn't want to monetize further instruments, and how can you give me speed and help me figure that out? So it's a three-part strategy that I want to share with you. These are best practices. This is what a lot of companies are doing today, that for you to consider taking one or all of them on. So number 1 is consider purchasing a business that has an existing credit line. So before I go into dive into this, here's some context and background for you to consider and think about. Imagine I have $50,000, and with $50,000, what I'm trying to buy is a luxury car. With $50,000, more likely I'm not going to be able to buy a Rolls-Royce luxury car with $50,000. I just can't do that. These cars are far more expensive than $50K. Assuming I'm buying, like a 2021, 2020, like something that's somewhat recent, not a Rolls Royce of 1940s or something like that. It's like some kind of a recent Rolls Royce. $50,000 will not going to get me that instrument. However, for $50,000, I could go to a different model like a Kia as a comparison and buy the luxury model of a Kia car. If I have $50,000, and that's what I want to do. So a lot of individuals, businesses that are looking for credit lines will go to no-name banks. There's a whack of them for purposes of avoiding a lawsuit. I don't want to name them. I don't want to name banks. These are like tier 2, tier 3 banks. But in the United States, as an example, there's a lot of institutions that are owned by Chinese by Chinese companies, as an example. And these are great institutions that actually work. However, their credit ratings is not high compared to a Barclays, and that's just a fact. As a comparison, they're not, the credit rating is not a Barclays or HSBC like that. And so when you go to a no-name institution and get yourself a documented letter of credit from that institution or a stamp letter of credit, whatever instrument you get from a no-name institution for the limited amount of funds you have, think about the Kia compared to Rolls-Royce as a comparison. It becomes hard to go to one of the top 7, top 10 global banks and try to monetize it. And it just like, I know a lot of American banks simply don't want to have anything to do with banks that they don't know, banks that have credit ratings that perhaps are, like I know in China, for instance, there's lots of banks in China that I personally have never heard about. And they're great banks. They're truly are great banks, but American bank wouldn't recognize them, and therefore wouldn't monetize their credit lines, wouldn't monetize their instruments, and that's just a fact of life. So the same thing I can talk about African banks or banks in South America like that. There are lots of great banks around the world that are just not on the top 5, 10, 20 banks on the planet. And so if you go and try to get $100 million instrument from one of these no-name banks, once you go to America and you want to monetize these banking instruments, you get stuck with a paper that you can monetize, and or if you can monetize, you get a very low LTV, loan to value, and many times you will notice that you can't constantly do this on a constant regular basis, and that's just fact of life. That's just a fact of life. So a way to fix this for yourself if you're looking to do something quickly, and as a proven model, it actually works, but it requires you to think differently, is to look at a business that's for sale. And I promise you there's hundreds and thousands of businesses in North America that are for sale, and you're not buying that company because it has a great technology or product or service. You may be buying that company because it's been in existence for 10, 15 years, and it has one thing that you don't have. It has the established credit with one of the top 20 banks in the world. It can be a small business, but it has something you don't have. It has a credit facility with Wells Fargo. It has a credit facility with Bank of America. It has a credit facility with whatever else. So acquiring a business that has a credit facility will give you speed and allows you to monetize your instruments. It allows you to a different vehicle for you to get access to the capital that you're looking for, like that. And so that's strategy number one. There are lots of consulting companies that help, and consultants who help companies like yours. If you're interested in deploying the strategy, do that. And if you go to Line of Credit, look into our team. There are lots of associates, not part of our core business, who definitely can help you do that for sure. The second strategy that works is you actually start small. So let's say you have a banking instrument from a Chinese bank that is not recognized in North America, or African bank that's not recognized in America, or Indian bank that's just not recognized in North America. What you could do is you walk into any of the North American banks that you feel comfortable with, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all these banks. They go to one of the top tier banks. You set up a credit line with them, and I understand that's slow. I understand it's small. It could be a credit line for $200,000 or $2 million, and then you have to do transactions with that limited credit line. And my recommendation is to do at least a minimum of 6 different transactions with that bank that you've set up a credit line with. Now this is the long game. This is truly the long game that you're playing. But once you've done 6 different transactions with that bank knows you, you know them, and now you can ask for increase in your credit limit. You can now increase the amount of instruments you're going to monetize with them, and you do another 6 more, you do another 10 more like that, and then you consistently, once you've done a series of them, you contact your bank, you talk to your commercial loan officer or whoever you work with, and you every 6 to 10 you ask them, can you please increase my credit limit, like that. And that's how over time you can start increasing your credit facility, but you're doing it with one of the American banks that, like a Wells Fargo, Bank of America, whoever you like, but this is playing the long game. Now, strategy number 3 is you do a combination of both. If you have a documentary of credit, standby of credit, or something else that you want to monetize, you need access to capital. Your current bank was not going to monetize it because the issuer on your end is a no-name bank. Well, now if you have capital, if I were you, I would consider buying a business that has a existing credit facility and then trying to go and do it that way. And then I would, the next option is to do a combination of that as well as starting something small with a well-established bank in North America. I hope this is helpful. These are some of the ways that when we get calls from clients and they have banking instruments, they can't monetize it, they're stuck, they have payroll due, they have supplier stuff due, they're really stuck and they don't know what to do. These are the top 3 strategies that I always recommend. If you like some more help, if you have some further questions on this, please feel free to contact us at linecredit.ai. Pick our coaching consulting link, and I'm sure me or any of my associates would be happy to book a call with you and answer your questions. Some of the frequently asked questions I get in this area for us is, why is Line of Credit winning business compared to other issuers and monetizers? I'm not sure if you're winning business. To be fully transparent, I'm not sure if you're winning business every single day and every single hour, but I can definitely point to a number of different transactions where we won a major piece of business from a company compared to somebody else. I believe, this is just what I believe, it's beyond the level of customer service that we provide. I believe it's simply a function of our experience and expertise and depth in this area. I believe it's because of our relationship with banks or monetizers. But end of the day, LineOfCredit.ai is it's a private equity firm. We are able to buy an instrument at a far cheaper price than what the market can provide. And when it comes to monetizing, we can issue it faster or provide a higher LTV compared to what others do. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I believe we win business. Another question that I constantly get is, Taimour, what are your fees and timelines? Our fees are as default and we're not negotiable. We don't negotiate our prices or whatever. Our fees start at 1.5%, 1.5% of the face value of the instrument that we have to buy, monetize, liquidate, get a loan on, whatever that is 1.5% of the face value of the instrument. Timelines varies. We can monetize as fast as 24 hours, but generally speaking, I like to say 10 banking days. I used to be able to tell people 7 banking days before the coronavirus, and after the coronavirus, I tell people 10 banking days or less is my timelines of what we share. Do we work with brokers, and if so, how? Yes, we do. We get a substantial amount of our business comes from what I call strategic partners of the broker community. If you're a broker, you go to our website, LineOfCredit.ai, you click on a button called We Are Hiring. You go through a personality assessment form. It's very, very, very important in my company that we work with people that have a high level of integrity and character. It's just, we don't need to work with we don't want to work with all the brokers on the planet. I'm sure everybody on the planet is an awesome human being. I need to work with people that have a very high level of integrity and character. That you go through a personality assessment. You get a report right away on what your personality assessment is. You send your paperwork, your client's confidential information, whatever it is. We give you a mutual NDA and CA, obviously, for you to fill out. We look at the instrument or the project to see if this is something we want to do. Is it worth our time to do it? I like to monetize instruments that are over $20 million, not smaller instruments. I like to purchase instruments that are over $20 million, not something small, generally speaking. And we really take it from there, and that's how we work with the broker communities. My name is Taimour Zaman from Monetize. I hope you enjoyed this information, and look forward to the opportunity of working with you soon. Thank you.